For 2 years, the allied worlds of the Orden cluster had fought a losing battle against the Graal Dominion. The Graal were relentless, an empire of bioengineered warbeasts and hive-minded drones that swept through planets like locusts. One by one, star systems fell, and each plea for help to the Galactic Council brought only half-hearted promises and logistical excuses. As the last defensive line around Orden Prime crumbled, battered refugee convoys fled into deep space. The Council's observers recorded grim casualty projections. 90% of the cluster's population would be gone within weeks. And then quietly word spread that the humans had heard the call. No one knew what to expect. Humanity's membership in the Council was still new, just a century since they'd clawed their way to the stars. Many thought the humans were too reckless, too unpredictable. Rumors spoke of Earth as a death world, its people as apex predators in fragile-looking skins. So when the Orden fleet's long-range sensors picked up an inbound mass translation on the edge of the warzone, most commanders assumed it was a Graal strike force until they saw the ships. They arrived like a steel storm. The human fleet dropped out of slip space in perfect formation, spearheaded by the dreadnought HMS Leviathan, a black dagger cutting through the stars. Flanking it were cruisers and destroyers, hulls bristling with kinetic cannons and missile pods. At the fleet's edges, swarms of agile corvettes and stealth frigates shimmered in and out of radar. To the Orden commanders watching the live feed, the fleet seemed impossibly small, barely 40 ships, against a Graal horde numbering in the thousands. But as the humans powered weapons and launched their drones, the feeds lit up with encrypted transmissions. On the bridge of the Leviathan, Admiral Sarah Holt stood with arms folded behind her back, eyes fixed on the tactical display. She was not an imposing figure. Slight, calm, hair pulled tight under her cap. But those who served with her knew her mind was a weapon sharper than any blade. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Ashur Dahlin, glanced nervously at the mass of red markers on the screen. Graal ships closing in, a sea of biometal and spines. "That's a lot of bugs, ma'am," Dahlin said. Holt cracked the ghost of a smile. "Good. The more they bunch up, the easier they are to squash." She toggled her fleet channel. "All ships weapons free. Show our new friends what Deathworlders do when the gloves come off." The first salvo struck like a thunderclap. The humans didn't rely on clumsy energy weapons or slow plasma volleys. They launched dense slugs of depleted uranium, railgun shots accelerated to a fraction of light speed. The Graal's organic armor ruptured in seconds. Entire drone clusters vaporized before they could maneuver. Swarms of autonomous drones darted ahead of the main line, slipping through the Graal's defenses, each one a guided bomb that burrowed into carapaces and detonated from within. When the Graal tried to swarm the flanks, stealth frigates uncloaked behind them, cutting them apart with precision strikes. The human pilots, trained on a death world where survival meant adapting faster than the enemy, made split-second decisions the Graal's hive minds couldn't counter. On Orden Prime's main defense station, General Carrick Juno watched the battle unfold in stunned silence. His staff huddled around him, eyes wide at the live feeds. In less than 10 minutes, the space lanes that had been a churning chaos of Graal hive ships were littered with drifting husks. A comms officer whispered, "Sir, they're not just holding them back. They're erasing them." In the Leviathan's CIC, Admiral Holt watched the last clusters of enemy markers flicker and disappear. "Status?" she asked. "Minimal hull damage on 3 destroyers. No losses," Dahlin reported, almost incredulous. "Enemy fleet, gone? Cleanup ops underway." Holt nodded once. "Good. Send word to the Orden Council. Tell them the line holds." She glanced at the stars beyond the viewport. Somewhere out there, other species would hear of this day. Of how the humans arrived not with flowery speeches or token gestures, but with iron and fire. How they turned a slaughter into salvation in mere moments. And the Graal, what few survivors might crawl back to their hives, would carry the story in their bio-memory forever, that when humanity arrived in a warzone, the predators weren't the ones you feared. The humans were. On Orden Prime, as refugees returned to their homes under human escort, parents told their children about the fleet that fell from the void like a hammer, about how the Deathworlders fought for those who couldn't fight for themselves. And in dark corners of the galaxy, those who preyed on the weak paused and wondered, when the next plea for help rose from the ashes, would humanity answer? And if they did, God help whoever stood in their way. Humanity F***, yeah, ***.